Chapter 24. Hutch didn't move after the guy crossed the plate. He had made errors before. Every kid his age made errors, just never like this. He had never lost a game all by himself like this. They called it a walk-off home run when one swing ended a game in the bottom of the ninth. What did you call this? A walk-off E4? It was the biggest game he had ever played in his life, and it had ended on a nothing ball like that, going right through the wickets the way the ball had gone through Bill Buckner's legs in the World Series in 1986 against the Mets. Now Hutch was Buckner, frozen in place between first and second at Roger Dean as the Orlando kids celebrated at home plate. He looked around at his teammates. Pedro Moto was finally walking off the mound, trying his best to avoid the celebration. Brett was already in the dugout, taking off his catcher's equipment so he wouldn't have to wear it on the long walk to the Cardinals clubhouse out in right field. Mr. Cullen just sat by himself at the end of the bench, staring out at home plate, watching the Orlando kids pound on each other like the series was already over. Hutch didn't even want to look into the stands where his parents had been sitting with the Hesters, didn't even want to make eye contact with his dad. Instead, he just put his head down, staying right where he was, kneeling now in the soft infield dirt that was almost reddish in color, like a clay tennis court. That was where he was when he heard Cody's voice behind him, felt his friend's hand on his shoulder. Come on, Cody said. Let's bounce. Hutch still didn't move. Codes, he said. I make that play in my sleep. I saw the whole thing, Cody said. I'm a second baseman, right? I saw how the ball stayed down on you. Now we're down a game, all because of me. Down but not out, Cody said, so get up. When Hutch still didn't move, Cody grabbed his arm and pulled him up, and then the two of them were walking back toward right field together. Like always. Like they were walking something off. When they were nearly to the open gate in the outfield fence, a guy in a Sun Sports blazer who looked young enough to be one of their teammates got in front of them. He had a microphone in his hand and a cameraman with him. All Hutch had been thinking about was how he'd let his team down. He'd forgotten for the moment that the game had actually been televised. Tim Fox, the guy in the blazer said to Hutch, Sun Sports. I can see that, Hutch said. Ask you a couple questions? Cody leaned and whispered, You're allowed to say no. Hutch turned to Cody. I let them talk to me on TV when I hit that home run. You don't have to do this, Cody said. Yeah, I do, Hutch said. I'm captain of the team. He turned back to Tim Fox of Sun Sports and said, Go ahead. How does it feel to lose game one on a play like that? Tim Fox said. Hutch said, I feel bad any time I make an error. I just feel worse tonight because I let my team down on such a bonehead play. What happened? Tim Fox said. When it came off the bat, it looks like you guys were headed for extra innings. I forgot the first thing my dad ever taught me in baseball, Hutch said, to put my glove down. Tim Fox thanked him, and and his cameraman ran toward the Orlando side of the field, done with the losers now. Hutch and Cody kept walking, past the thick yellow foul pole that had Metro PCS written on it, the letters running from top to bottom through the gate toward the clubhouse. All season long, Hutch had told himself he was still a shortstop, that nothing had changed, that he really wasn't a second baseman. Well, tonight he'd proved it. He wasn't a second baseman. Mr. Cullen gave them a quick talk when they were back inside the clubhouse, reminding them of something he'd told them a lot, that the last play was never the only one that decided a game in sports, win or lose. Even if a guy hit a grand slam in the last inning, he said, a lot of other things had to happen to get those bases loaded. He wasn't talking to the team now, and they all knew it. He was talking to Hutch, obviously under the impression that anything he said in here was going to make Hutch feel better. As if anything anybody said was going to make him feel better between now and the start of Game 2, which felt about 100 years away. I'm a Mets fan, Mr. Cullen said, grinning, trying as hard as he could to lighten the mood. All you Yankees fans on our team know that. And Mets fans never forget Bill Buckner letting the ball roll through his legs in the '86 series. But if you've ever seen the end of the game on one of those classic shows, you know how many other things had to go wrong for the Red Sox before Mookie Wilson dribbed the ball down the line. Hutch wondered where he was going with this, thinking, all I want to do is go home. But before we go, I want to tell you about Game 1 of the series, which only I remember, Mr. C said. The Red Sox won that game. The score was 1-0. And you know how they got their run? On an error by the Mets second baseman, Tim Teufel. Boy, Hutch thought, I feel so much better already. The Mets didn't let one play cost them the World Series, and we're not going to let one play cost us ours, Mr. Cullen said. Then he told them to get their stuff together and start heading for the bus, but it was time to call it a night. Before long, Hutch and Cody were the only two players left in the clubhouse, in front of the last two lockers next to Tony La Russa's office. The door opened, and they saw Mr. C standing there, hands on hips. When I said start heading for the bus, he said, what did you two hear me saying? Mr. C ran ahead of them, saying he was going to check the dugout one last time, making sure nobody had left anything. Hutch and Cody walked back through the gate and right, back across the outfield grass toward home. It was the same field it had been a few hours ago, same dimensions, 400 to center, 325 down the lines. It just looked different now. When they got to the infield, Hutch said, "Maybe I should just dig myself a hole right here." "Awesome idea," Cody said. "That way you could do what you want to do and feel even lower than dirt." "Codes," Hutch said. "You've played with me pretty much our whole lives, right?" "Longer." "You ever see me do anything like that in a big spot?" "No." "So why did I have to do it tonight, of all nights?" Cody stopped near the pitcher's mound. They were facing the dugout, where Mr. Cullen had come up with somebody's bat and a batting helmet. They heard him saying, "Like picking up after my own kids." In a quiet voice, so Mr. Cullen wouldn't hear, Cody said, "I'm going to say this, and then we're not talking about this the rest of the night, and I'm going to make sure you stop feeling so sorry for yourself. It happened to you because it happens to everybody sooner or later, even if they've spent their whole career feeling like Captain Hero. Because we watched that World Series where the Tigers' pitchers kept making errors on the simplest plays in the world. Because one of your Yankees heroes, Mo Rivera, probably the greatest closer in the history of the game, threw a simple ball away in Game 7 one time, and the Yankees blew a whole World Series in the bottom of the ninth." Mr. Cullen said, "Really, guys, we need for this night to be over now." "Just one more sec, Coach," Cody said to him. To Hutch, he said, "What do you always tell me when I ask you why some game ended in some weird way?" In a voice even quieter than Cody's on the empty field, Hutch said, "I tell you that it's baseball." "Baseball happened tonight," Cody said, "and I promise baseball will be better tomorrow." The bus was waiting for them near Gate B, everybody else on board by now, the engine running. Mr. Cullen got in ahead of them and took his usual seat in the first row. Darrell was alone in the seat behind him, slouched down, cap pulled down low. Good, Hutch thought. He didn't even want to make eye contact with Darrell right now, knowing that Darrell wouldn't even have to say a word to him. He could probably lay him out with one mean look. Hutch thought about going all the way to the last row, sitting back there alone, even though he knew Cody wouldn't let him. But the last row was taken, and so was the one in front of it, so Hutch grabbed the first empty window seat on the ballpark side of the bus, took one last look at the lights of Roger Dean on this night, the night Mr. C said he wanted to be over now. Not as much as I do, Hutch thought. Cody sat down next to him, even though there were two empty seats across the aisle. In a voice just above a whisper, he said, "I said all I'm going to say." "Don't take this the wrong way, Codes," Hutch said, "but good. I'm just saying." The bus pulled away from the stadium, went past the Florida Atlantic sign, took a right on Donald Ross, then the left that put them on 95 South. There were guys talking, but they were all keeping their voices down. Usually there would be a lot of noise on the bus, even after they lost a game, the guys using jokes and laughter and insults to start putting the loss behind them. Not tonight. Hutch kept staring out his window. Even when the Cardinals did lose, there was something about the ride home, having the guys all around you, that made the game hurt less. There was the feeling that it hadn't just happened to one of them, it had happened to all of them. And it was just another thing that Hutch loved about sports, being part of a team, being a part of something that people who'd never been on a team couldn't understand. It just didn't feel that way tonight. Tonight it was as if it had only happened to him, as if the rest of the guys had won and he'd lost, all by himself. It was then that Cody Hester stood up. "Okay," he said, "I've got a question." Cody's voice was always loud. Tonight, because the bus was so quiet, quieter than it had ever been, his voice sounded much, much louder. "It's about the end of tonight's contest," Cody said. "Cody," Hutch said, his voice barely above a whisper, "please don't." Cody held up a hand to him, like, not to worry. "What do you think was worse?" Cody said. "Hutch's error or Spider-Man 3? "Spidey," Brett said. "No doubt. Too many bad guys." "Okay then," Cody said, and moving right along, sounding like one of those peppy game show hosts. "Hutch's error or that time we lost the internet for a whole week because of the hurricane?" "Not even close," Hank yelled from the back. "No IMing for a whole week? It was like being in jail, dude." Suddenly, everybody was calling out suggestions on stuff they thought was worse than Hutch's error. Hutch or the Marlins trading away all their good players the season after they'd won the World Series. Hutch or season 6 of 24, which prompted Cody to say, "Hey, watch it now." Hutch's error or the creepy guy with the octopus face in the last two Pirates movies. And now the bus was filled with noise and would be all the way to Santa Luces. Cody didn't sit back down, holding onto one of the overhead straps until the ride was about to end and they were pulling into the school parking lot across from field number 1. "See," he said to Hutch, "it wasn't the worst thing of all time. And if it does turn out to be the worst thing that ever happens to you, look on the bright side. It just means that the worst thing that is ever going to happen to you has already happened. Codes, Hutch said. You are truly certifiable, and the best friend anybody has ever had in the history of the known universe. The bus doors opened and the Cardinals filtered out. Hutch and Cody stayed put, thinking they were the last two guys to leave. They weren't. Daryl was still in his seat. Cody made a motion with his hand, like asking him if he wanted to go ahead of him down the steps, but Daryl slowly shook his head. Once Cody was gone, it was just Hutch and Daryl on the bus, the driver having gotten up to open the luggage hatch. Great, Hutch thought. He's been waiting for me. It wasn't enough that Hutch had been beating himself up since the game had ended. Now it was Daryl's turn to weigh in. He still wasn't making any move to get up, and was still leaning back against his window, his bare feet up on the seat next to him. Hey, he said. There's nothing you can say about the play I haven't been saying to myself, Hutch said. I messed up big time. Daryl said, Don't want to talk about the play, ugly as it was. Thanks a lot, Hutch said. I just want to tell you one thing. We're still winning this thing. You got it? Yeah, Hutch said. Don't say it unless you mean it. Oh, Hutch said, don't worry. I mean it. For the first time, Daryl extended his hand, first to Hutch, in the form of a fist. Hutch gave him some back. Let's do this, Daryl said. He didn't wait for a reply, just got up, stretched like a cat, a very cool cat, and walked down the steps.